Bo Nix stood at the podium after Sunday's loss, sounding less like a rookie quarterback and more like a veteran carrying the weight of a locker room. The score, the standings, even Denver's grip on the AFC's top seed, all felt secondary in that moment. What lingered was a single throw, late, over the middle, and the image of Pat Bryant being immobilized on a stretcher. I feel responsible because I threw it. That sentence says everything about how this moment landed inside the Broncos building. The play itself was routine on paper and brutal in reality. Denver was down 34-20 with under 40 seconds left. The outcome was decided. Nix scrambled, reset his feet, and tried to make a play anyway. The instinct of a quarterback who never stops competing, even when the math says the game is over. He fired a pass across the middle to Bryant, who had carved out a reliable role in the offense all season. Bryant got his hands on the ball, and then the collision happened. Monteric Brown arrived a split second later and delivered a violent, technically clean hit to Bryant's shoulder and torso. No helmet contact, no head or neck shot. The flags came out, then went back into the officials' pockets. By the rulebook, it was legal. By the human reaction on the field, it was devastating. Bryant didn't move. That's when football stops being football. Players from both teams dropped to a knee. Broncos surrounded their teammate. Jaguars players stood nearby in silence. Nix watched, visibly shaken, knowing that the throw, his decision, put Bryant in that position, regardless of legality or intent. This is the part of the game that never shows up in stat lines or film reviews. Quarterbacks are trained to process coverages, leverage, and timing. They're not trained for the emotional aftermath of a teammate lying motionless because of a pass they delivered. And that's why Nix's words mattered. He didn't hide behind cliches. He didn't say it's just football and move on. He didn't deflect to circumstance or blame the situation. He owned the moment emotionally, even though no one in the building blamed him. That tells you a lot about where Bo Nix is mentally. From a purely football standpoint, the throw itself wasn't reckless. Bryant wasn't defenseless by rule. The hit wasn't late. The game situation made it unnecessary, yes, but quarterbacks don't flip a switch that turns competitiveness off when the clock dips under a minute. If anything, that instinct is why Denver is 12-3 in the first place. But emotionally, Nix understands what fans and teammates feel instinctively. If he doesn't throw the ball, Bryant doesn't get hit. That logic isn't fair, but it's human. The aftermath reinforced how serious the moment was. Bryant was immobilized, strapped to a stretcher, and taken to the hospital. Sean Payton tried to provide reassurance, noting movement in Bryant's hands and legs. Local reports emphasized concussion-like symptoms rather than neurological damage. Those details matter, but they don't erase the image. Pat Bryant is a rookie, 23 years old, a third-round pick who had quietly become part of Denver's offensive fabric. He wasn't a headline name, but he was trusted. He ran routes over the middle. He absorbed contact. He did the unglamorous work that keeps offenses on schedule. And in a game that didn't need another play, he paid the price. That's why this moment cuts deeper than a typical injury update. It forces uncomfortable questions about how the league approaches the end of games. Coaches preach play to the whistle, and they mean it. Players are taught to finish, but when the outcome is decided and the middle of the field is still being attacked, the risk-reward balance feels different. Nobody broke rules. Nobody acted maliciously. And yet the result was a young player hospitalized. That tension is baked into football, and moments like this expose it. For Nix, this was a defining leadership moment, not because of what he did on the field, but because of how he handled the aftermath. Teammates noticed that. Coaches notice that. Veterans notice when a quarterback internalizes responsibility beyond the playbook. This isn't about blame. It's about empathy. Despite the loss, Denver's season trajectory hasn't changed. They're still 12-3. They still control their path to the AFC's number 1 seed. Everything they want is still in front of them. But emotionally, Sunday left a bruise that standings can't erase. When the Broncos ran one final play and then let the clock expire, it felt symbolic. The game had already ended minutes earlier. What mattered was getting off the field together. Now, the focus shifts to Bryant's recovery. Whether he returns this season remains unclear. Concussions are unpredictable, recovery timelines aren't linear, and no matter how optimistic early reports are, The Broncos will prioritize the long term. As for Bo Nix, this moment will stay with him. Quarterbacks remember throws like this, not because they were interceptions or turnovers, but because of the human cost attached to them. It becomes part of the internal calculus the next time a late game situation presents itself. Do you fire it in? Do you check it down? Do you throw it away? There's no clean answer. Football doesn't offer that. What it does offer is clarity about character. And in that moment, Bo Nix showed that he understands something that can't be coached, the weight of responsibility that comes with leading men into violent spaces, even when the play itself is legal, even when the intent is pure. He threw the pass, and he didn't run from what came with it.